My name is Sam Buckbauer. I'm the co-chair for the Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I'd like to get things kicked off, and I'd like to introduce our president for some introductory remarks. Sherry, take it away.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you to Sam and Nila for being the co-chairs of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the New York State Bar Association. They're doing an outstanding job, and I think this program is just an example. And I also want to thank the task force on the U.S. territories, the co-chairs of that task force, Mirna Santiago, who is here, Natalie Gomez-Velez, as well as Anthony Scioli, the vice chair. So thank you to the task force. And to the task force members, many of who are going to be participating in the events that we are about to embark on this evening. So what a great group, what a great opportunity for collaboration, really amongst all different areas of practice, all of our bar associations, to bring us here together to celebrate diversity. And this is, as everybody in this room, I think, will agree, one of the paramount, most important issues that we face in the legal practice, in the legal community, and in representation of our clients across the world. So I really want to thank everybody for being here this evening. The Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion's Constance Baker Motley Symposium Awards ceremony and reception has been a signature event that kicks off our annual meeting. So it is great to be here once again with you. It has been way too long since we've been here together in person, and I am enjoying every moment of it, as I can see from just the greetings we are having that you all are as well. I also want to say that I am thrilled and thankful to this committee for allowing me to merge my presidential reception with the diversity reception and make it a celebration of diversity. And I hope that you all will join us after this event to celebrate diversity and the work that we all do. I want to acknowledge our sponsors, Paul Weiss, the program and reception sponsor, Barclay Damon, the program sponsor, and Bond, Shonek, and King, the reception sponsor. Your generosity makes programs like these possible, and we really can't thank you enough for your support. And I'd like to thank the program co-chairs from the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, Margaret Ling, Dina DeFazio, and Sharon Brown, for your assistance, work, and invitation and acceptance of joining together with the task force to put on this program. So thank you so much for all that you do for our association and for the work that you do for our committee to bring forth this program that we're about to have this evening. And task force member Neil Ware, those of you who've been involved in the programs involving the U.S. territories know there probably isn't one that he's not at, and that he has not helped put together. He is tireless, more energy than I have for sure, and those of you who know me know that's a lot. And I want to thank the Law Student Working Group, Bruce Leal, Roselby Sosa, and Yolanis Velez, who are integral in planning this program and bringing together law students from so many different law schools, not only in New York, to have the opportunity to engage on these issues, see what bar associations do, see the value in bar associations, and really take and embrace the bar association work while they're in law school. For those of you who don't know, Ronelle Porter also was part of this program last year and played one of the litigants in the reenactment of the Viejo Madero case. So as you can see, it's infectious. And I want to thank all of the law students who are participating tonight, who participated in the earlier rounds last week. Without you, without your commitment and dedication, we wouldn't be able to do this. And I really appreciate your engagement while you're in law school and the value that you obviously see in the work that we are doing. I want to commend the work of this committee, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, which in 2022 included an outstanding Juneteenth program featuring Professor Paula Johnson of Syracuse Law, and a publication of the committee's 2021 Diversity Report Card, among so many other things that they do. I am pleased to note that in June, the report was approved by the House of Delegates, which adopted the committee's resolution that the 12 diversity delegates be appointed to the House by the New York State Bar Association president, and that we continue to hold those positions. When I took office, as I mentioned, I formed the task force on the U.S. territories to evaluate and study the judicial decisions and common law, including the 100-year-old insular cases that affect the individual rights and liberties of the people of the United States territories. And to look at the fact that there is, in fact, as we in the group like to say, and those of you who've worked on these issues know, a colonies problem. We have a colonies problem. We also have a secondary class citizenship problem. And I want to thank everyone who's dedicated their time and energy to looking into these issues, to evaluating these issues, and to finding ways to work through that, to eliminate the racism that exists in cases that we still hold as good law today. Hoping that the United States Supreme Court would add to its fall docket the Fitzsimonu case versus the United States, which challenged the continuing legitimacy of the insular cases, our executive committee in July approved a resolution calling for these cases to be overturned, and that all people of the United States territories, including its residents, I'm a trial lawyer, I just keep going, of the U.S. territories be treated equally and afforded the same rights. We then, in conjunction with the Virgin Islands Bar Association, brought that resolution to the American Bar Association's House of Delegates. We worked alongside the delegates from the different territories at the American Bar Association to formulate the resolution that was then adopted and could be adopted by the American Bar Association for the same purpose. And I want to thank Deborah Enix Ross, the American Bar Association president, for the support that she's been giving us on this issue and so many more. Unfortunately, as I think many of you in this room already know, the United States Supreme Court declined to hear the Fitzsimonu case. Despite the disappointment, the task force's work continues. And today's Constance Baker Motley Symposium, I'm sorry, I need a little more light. If someone could do that for me, I would appreciate it. I'm getting old. But today's symposium, now in its 18th year, marks another step in the task force's work, making this year's symposium different from those in the past. As a result of the collaboration between the Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and the Task Force on the U.S. territories, the symposium will present a moot oral argument on the topic of Fitzsimonu, proffering arguments that might have been made, thank you, in the U.S. Supreme Court had it taken up this case. 4 law students, as I mentioned earlier, will present the arguments, 2 representing Fitzsimanu and Amici, and 2 representing the United States and American Samoa. They are Mariela Salazar, a 3L at Columbia Law School, who will represent the Fitzsimanu petitioners, and Otello Reggae Bean, a 1L at Yale Law School, who will represent the Fitzsimanu Amici. Nikita Ganesh, a 2L at UPenn Law School, will represent American Samoa. And Parker Shusid, a 3L at Columbia Law School, will represent the United States. The 2 teams were chosen, as I mentioned, after a round of moot arguments held a week ago. I want to thank the judges from the preliminary rounds, co-chair of the task force, Mirna Santiago, vice chair of the task force, Anthony Scioli, Sanez Payade, Patricio Martinez Lompart, and Professor Emmanuel Arnaud, also a member of the task force, for judging the preliminary rounds. The teams will present their arguments before a panel of distinguished judges, Judge Jenny Rivera from our Court of Appeals, and also a member of our task force, and a senior associate justice of our court, the Honorable Tanya Kennedy, an associate judge from the Appellate Division First Department, who also participated, both of whom I should say participated last year. And so thank you again for taking your time out of your very busy schedules for being here. And Honorable Sahabuddin Ali, supervising judge of the New York City Civil Court. Thank you so much for being here. And as I just learned, president of the Judges Asian American Association, I look forward to working with you as we move forward in the future. When I took the oath of office as president of our remarkable association, I took as my main theme the future of investing in the future of our profession and association. There must be something going on in here. The key to that future rests in our willingness to embrace diversity. And the lights came on, look at that. Amazing. Couldn't have planned it better myself if I tried. To cooperate and collaborate with each other, to share our knowledge and ideas, and to be open to the knowledge and ideas of others, and to mentor and aid law students. Today's innovative program incorporates all of these elements. It is a model for what we can achieve when we work together. I want to point out that as part of the work of the task force and the work on the U.S. territories, the New York State Bar Association has also signed memorandums of understanding with the Virgin Islands Bar Association and the Colegio de Abogados and Abogadas de Puerto Rico, which is the Bar Association of Puerto Rico, as well as established a chapter in the Virgin Islands, and we are working on establishing our chapter in Puerto Rico. Again, collaboration with a vision to expand and to continue to diversify and look at issues that are particularly inclusive of all those issues that matter to everyone, no matter where they're from, no matter where they live, and no matter what type of law they practice, just as some of the examples that we must consider. So this partnership between this committee and task force brings together the judiciary, the law students, the attorneys, I said the judges, I apologize, and also the issues together into this symposium. In a hypothetical that is not quite hypothetical, as this case may be revived in some form in the future. And today we will discuss some of the thorniest issues surrounding race, territorial governance, and what it means to be a birthright citizen of the United States. It asks questions as it looks at choice. What are the options for governance of the people who live in the territories? If the insular cases are overturned, must all the territories accept that same plan? If the insular cases are overturned, should each territory be able to determine its own future? I commend the partnership between the committee and the task force again, because it embraces everything that we know will help ensure the health and well-being of our profession now and in the future. Shared ideas, shared resources, shared knowledge, cooperation and collaboration, openness to different sides and opinions, and mentorship of the next generation of lawyers. You have created a program that I hope will have a lasting effect on how we approach our meetings and our panel discussions. It is fitting as a tribute to Constance Baker Motley, to the people for whom today's awards are named, and a fitting honor for those receiving the awards today. The John E. Higgins Diversity Trailblazer Award recognizes exceptional effort by a member of the legal community to promote the full and equal participation of diverse people at all levels of the legal profession. The 2023 awardees are the Honorable Randolph Treece, a retired federal judge who is of counsel to E. Stewart Jones Hacker Murphy. His long career includes 14 years as a U.S. magistrate judge for the Northern District of New York. He was the first African American appointed to the federal judgeship in the Northern District, and the first person of color to be appointed or elected to the judiciary, state, or federal in the Eastern Upstate New York in 104 years. And Ross F. Moskowitz, a partner at Stroock Stroock Lavan, serves as a strategic advisor to leading real estate development clients, long recognized by the best lawyers and super lawyers by Chambers USA in 2019. The group honored him with the Diversity and Inclusion Outstanding Ally Award for his commitment to diversity and inclusion in the legal profession. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg Beacon Award honors an individual who is honest, direct, and courageous, and is an outspoken advocate for those less privileged. The 2023 awardee, Ronelle C. Porter, Assistant Deputy Chair, Capital Markets and Corporate at Loeb Loeb, focuses her work on mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance, joint ventures, and corporate governance, among other corporate matters. She co-chairs the firm's New York Lead Women Network and serves on its diversity committee. These awards recognize outstanding service. I thank you for your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I congratulate all of you on your awards. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to be with you all this afternoon in person and with all of my distinguished colleagues from across New York State. As I said before, my name is Sam Buckbauer, and I'm the co-chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Since serving in this role, I have had the opportunity to work with some incredible attorneys and judges to promote the full and equal participation of diverse attorneys within NYSBA and at every level of the legal profession. And this afternoon, we take time to recognize the accomplishments of three extraordinary people who exemplify what it means to promote diversity within our profession. Today, I will be presenting the John E. Higgins Diversity Trailblazer Award to two recipients who epitomize excellence in the DEI space. Following the presentation of the Trailblazer Awards, I will then introduce my esteemed colleague and the former co-chair of the DEI committee, Myrna Santiago, who will present the Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Beacon Award. And without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to present the 2023 John E. Higgins Trailblazer Award. This award is given in honor and memory of John E. Higgins, a trailblazer in his own right. Not only was he an expert in discrimination and labor law, but he was passionate about helping clients and colleagues across New York State. His numerous accolades and involvement in associations are a testament to his legacy, which are reflected in the values of this award. The Trailblazer Award recognizes exceptional efforts to promote the full and equal participation of diverse individuals at all levels of the legal profession. Our first recipient of the Trailblazer Award is Judge Randolph Treece. I will, to the best of my ability, share some of the highlights of Judge Treece's storied career. As Sherry mentioned, he served for 14 years as a magistrate judge. And he served in various positions, including counsel to the Office of the Comptroller, First Deputy Capital Defender of the New York State Capital Defender's Office, and adjunct professor at Albany Law School. But it is his commitment to his community and involvement in myriad associations that showcases his passion for diversity initiatives. A former House of Delegate members, he has chaired the association's Minority Lawyers Subcommittee. He has also served on the honorary board of the Women's Law Project, advisory board of Albany Law School NAACP Legal Assistance Program, and was the founder and former president of the Capital Black and Hispanic Bar Association. In his nomination materials, his colleagues share that he has provided every single judge of color in the Capital Region with support and encouragement, and is committed to fostering minority attorneys to pursue judicial office. It is my honor to bestow upon Judge Treece the Trailblazer Award. Judge Treece has been
to the members of the committee, members of the bar, members of the judiciary, and friends. I'm truly honored and humbly grateful to receive the John E. Higgins Diversity Trailblazer Award, though I find it difficult to accept that I am a trailblazer because I have stood on the shoulders of those who have preceded me and persevered before me. But I believe because now I'm an elder member of the bar, you might cast me as a trailblazer. I know that brevity is the soul of wit, and I will try to adhere to that, but I would like to discuss two matters with you quickly. The first and most is I personally knew John Higgins. Now, I knew John Higgins' family long before I knew John. I knew John Jennings, his grandfather, who practiced law in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, along with Peter Pryor and A.D. Jones. They were the only three attorneys of color that were practicing during that time. But the tour de force, the light of John's life, is Patricia, his mother, who made the greatest impression upon me. Her husband died when John was young, so she moved her family back from South Carolina to Albany, and she raised, as a single parent, 3 dynamic sons. She put 3 sons through private school, college, and professional schools. Robert, the oldest, is a thoracic surgeon who was the executive director of the John Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, and currently is the president of Brigham Women's Hospital in Boston. Next, Kevin found success as a banker, as a vice president of a Fortune 500 bank, and he's now the managing director of the Bank of New York Mellon. And of course, we know John is the tenacious and incomparable litigator. But Pat was the intelligence, the insight, and the effusive encouragement, not only to her 3 boys, but when I was in her presence, she always referred to me as her 4th son. I treated that as an honor, and because of her, you could see how John became a tour de force in the practice of law. Now, I met John when he entered Albany Law School, and at that time, I was the president of the Capital District Black Bar Association, and we had established a mentoring program where members of the association were assigned with students at Albany Law School to help them weather the matriculation at Albany Law School. Peter Pryor, who was the dean of black lawyers in Albany, and yours truly were assigned to represent John as a mentor, but quite frankly, John was just flattering us by letting us believe we were his mentor. But over the years, John would come and talk to me about his experience as a labor lawyer, his experience working in a large firm in the region, his trials, his tribulations, and his accomplishment. And after much persuasion, I was able to convince him to become the president of the Capital District Black and Hispanic Bar Association from 2004 to 2009, which he did so admirably. And you know that he made a commitment here to the state bar. But what I want to share with you and let you know what it was like practicing law in the Capital District region back in the 70s. The demographics then hasn't changed much since now. At that time, when I started practicing, there was only two of us, Bernard Bryan and yours truly, who were actually in private practice. Now, there were attorneys that were working for New York State, but we were the only two that were practicing in the Capital District region. We were the only ones who were trying cases. We were the only ones who were taking on clients. Eventually, George Yanthus, George King, and Irv Adams tried to form a black firm, but after a year, it didn't survive. So it was Bernard and I, quite frankly, that bore the brunt of a race in the private sector. It was us who had overcome the perniciousness of the presumption of incompetence. But we kept trying cases, and it neared to our benefit. In 1982, Bernard and I formed the Capital District Black Bar Association to promote the presence of attorneys of color in the Capital District region. One of the things that we did was we drafted several diversity programs to swell the ranks of attorneys of color in private practice. Those efforts failed until 2001, when Judge Kaye convened a meeting of the bar leaders and sent a clarion call that the demographics in private practice must change. So then we created the new diversity internship program to give law students an opportunity to intern in larger firms. And that program thrives to this day. And we can say because of that program, several attorneys of color are now working in the more prominent firms. In a similar vein, we promoted attorneys of color to become judges. And I could say since 2001, which we were pretty proud of, we've had 5 judges of color serve in city court, 2 family court judges, 2 county court judges, 2 Supreme Court judges in the 3rd Judicial District, 2 serving in the Appellate Division 3rd Department. And it might not seem like much to you, but trust me, it is monumental in our region. To the extent I may have attempted to be a crusader and carry the banner of inclusion and played a role of greater diversity inclusion in the private practice in the Capital District and in the bench, I hope that I was a worthy and credible role model. I want to thank you for considering me to be that worthy recipient of John E. Higgins Trailblazer Award, and I thank you very much for this recognition.
The next recipient of the Trailblazer Award is Ross Moskowitz. Ross is one of the country's leading real estate lawyers and is a partner at Stroock Stroock Lavan, LLP. He co-chairs the firm's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and in 2019 received Chamber USA's Diversity and Inclusion Outstanding Ally Award. His colleagues, in nominating him for this award, commended Ross as a zealous proponent of Stroock's affinity groups who deeply believes in the importance of inclusionary efforts and is a true advocate for diversity with a dedication and passion for creating a more equitable and inclusive environment at his firm. It is my honor to present the Trailblazer Award to Ross Moskowitz. Ross, please come on.
I was always taught never to speak after a judge. So thank you. No. Thank you to the New York State Bar Association and its Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for this honor. Congratulations to Randy and to our next recipient, Ronelle, on their awards as well. This recognition is a testimony to all of the hard work our Stroock community has done and continues to do every day to support D&I. We have made great strides since we started our D&I Council in 2004, but there is so much to do. I have learned and truly believe that each of us has our own story, our own path, and can write our own story and enjoy success and happiness, however that is measured. Not everyone, however, has the same starting points and opportunities. Early on, I was taught by my immigrant grandparents and then by my parents that we are here on this earth to help each other regardless of background and where you were born or how you were raised. That is, understanding and appreciating differences in ethnicity, religion, and socioeconomics can broaden one's thinking, life experience, and allow for a more compassionate view of others. As an ally, it is with that lens that I approach my professional life, amplifying diverse voices and providing platforms to promote the full and equitable participation by people from diverse communities and backgrounds at all levels of the legal profession is essential. And I believe it is one of the most important responsibilities, well, I think it is actually the most important responsibility I now have at the firm. As a leader, as a member of our management committee, as a senior partner, it is important that I recognize and use this position to help push the action forward and promote others. As important is my commitment to finding and providing these opportunities and ensuring that all voices are heard and represented. It is also extremely important that I continue to be open to learning, being vulnerable, and growing from others around me. Whether it is my wife, Jacqueline, my daughters, Emma and Maya, or colleagues within my firm, most of which are younger and have had different life experiences, I rely on and welcome these relationships to continue to teach me so I can help shape our firm's D&I efforts. Sometimes when I speak professionally, I note that pausing and listening are two incredibly important attributes to have as a lawyer. Of course, those who live and work with me, I don't always follow my own advice. It can be a struggle, but it's necessary for me as an ally to be present and accountable to others. This awareness allows me to stay grounded and to keep our firm focused on having a diverse and inclusive workplace, one where everyone feels valued and can achieve both professional and personal growth. I would be remiss in not thanking my colleagues who put forth my candidacy. Celia Young, Talona Holbert, Catherine Nunez, Jared Goldfeder, and Carrie Cooperman. I'm extremely grateful for their support. You know, there's a quote from James Baldwin that has always resonated for me, and one that we include in all of our D&I presentations to new attorneys at our firm. To me, it captures in 2 sentences the importance of addressing D&I. Quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Thank you.
Congratulations again to both recipients of the Trailblazer Award. And now I introduce my colleague, Mirna Santiago, to present the RGB Beacon Award.
Good evening, everyone. Before we get into the actual recipient and her background, I want to talk a little bit about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. As you know, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born in Brooklyn in 1933. She received her BA from Cornell University, attended Harvard Law, and received her LLB from Columbia Law School at a time when women were simply not encouraged to follow that path. She went on to do a huge number of things, including founding the Women's Right Project of the American Civil Liberties Union, and served as the ACLU's General Counsel from 1973 to 1980. In 1980, she was appointed as a judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. And President Clinton in 1993 actually nominated her to be the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, and she took her seat in 1993. On the Supreme Court, as most of you know, Justice RBG was known for, one, her storied dissents, and also her improbable friendship with conservative Justice Antonin Scalia, teaching us by example that we don't always have to agree on everything, but there's nothing to stop us from being respectful of one another. When Justice Ginsburg died in 2020, myself and Violet Samuels, who were the co-chairs of the Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, knew that we had to create an award in her name. When we created the call for the award, we talked a lot about what could be in that call for nominations. What is it that would embody Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg? And one of the things that we came up with was that it wasn't a title. It wasn't about being a jurist or a lawyer or any other thing. It was about being able to speak truth to power. So when you see the call for nominees, it says, the nominee is an outspoken advocate for the less privileged. She is a pioneer, lighting a path for others to follow. She is honest, direct, speaks truth to power, and is courageous in the face of opposition. She is bold, innovative, and analytical. Our last two recipients, 2021, the Honorable Cheryl Chambers, New York State Appellate Division, 2nd Department, and for 2022, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, both embody those principles. And our nominee today, our recipient today, Ronelle Porter, similarly embodies those principles. In the nomination letter, what's said about her is that she leads, that she is a beacon. She leads, she has a forthright perspective of the experiences of diverse attorneys. She communicates the needs of those attorneys. She shares insights, and she makes sure that their needs are represented at the highest level of the firm. It says, as statistics in the legal industry show, successful Black women in the corporate side of law firms are few and far between. Ronelle has blazed her own path within the legal profession and within an area of the law that most Black women are not welcomed in. She embraces the ethos of lift while you climb, mentoring and elevating those who are coming up behind her. Truly, someone who encompasses the spirit of the notorious RBG. Ronelle C. Porter is the Assistant Deputy Chair, Capital Markets and Corporate at Loeb Loeb, LLP. She has almost 20 years of experience as a transactional attorney. She focuses her practice on mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance, joint ventures, cross-border transactions, and a slew of other things. In her day-to-day, she also co-chairs Loeb Loeb's New York Women's Lead Network and is a member of the firm's Diversity Committee. It is my honor to present the RBG Beacon Award to Ronelle C. Porter.
Wow, listening to that, I'm wondering who's she speaking about? Other than, of course, Justice Ginsburg, who I am really, really honored to receive an award bearing her name. I know I didn't want to follow you, Your Honor, in terms of the eloquence of your speech, but I will say I'm very pleased to be following two trailblazers. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to start out by saying thank you. Thank you to the New York State Bar Association's Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for honoring me with the 2023 Ruth Bader Ginsburg Beacon Award. Thank you to Loeb Loeb for nominating me for this prestigious award and for allowing me to contribute to the fabric of the firm in an authentic and unapologetic way. Also for providing the platform and support for me to do great work. I also want to express my gratitude to those people in my life, my family, mentors, colleagues, and friends who have paved the way and guided me along the path, allowing me the opportunity to engage in a community of thoughtful and intelligent people. I'm enormously proud to be the third recipient of the Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Beacon Award. I am truly humbled by this recognition, and if I am honest, my achievements to this stage dull in comparison to the phenomenal individual after whom this award is named. Justice Ginsburg lived an exceptional life and left a meaningful and lasting legacy. To have my name attached to hers is a privilege and an honor. I have been asked many times, why do I do what I do when sometimes there's little to no recognition, no extra money, and a lot less sleep? My answer usually is that I'm trying to create an environment, a world, that I want to live in, work in, and most of all, pass on to my children. For me, it is about creating a space where those who may be uncertain can feel supported, feel like they belong because someone showed interest, and because they see themselves. We may never know the impact that just our presence may have on someone. This sometimes requires you to truly step out of your comfort zone, to find the courage to move in spaces that are not open to you or welcoming of you, the courage to keep moving when laying down and resting would feel so much more comfortable than forging ahead, and the courage to advocate for others even when you are not quite certain of your own standing or when it might not be the popular position. When asked once how she would like to be remembered, Justice Ginsburg said, "I want to be remembered as someone who used whatever talent she had to do her work to the very best of her ability, and to help repair tears in her society, to make things a little better through the use of whatever ability she has, to do something outside myself, because I've gotten much more satisfaction for the things I've done for which I was not paid." May we all be so lucky as to leave behind a legacy of hard work for which we were not paid, but which yield great dividends. I thank you once again very much for honoring me with this award.